Turnberry on the west coast of Scotland, the first spectacular and today rather windy port of call for Arnold Palmer and Tony Jacklin, and they oppose each other over a course that's never been played before, a course comprising what we call the best 18 holes in Britain, a course that covers many hundreds of square miles, but which today we're able to show you at a glance. 18 holes, all chosen from Britain's classic seaside links, the type of golfing ground where the game began and where our Open Championship is always played. Now, these are the holes which these two great champions will be visiting and playing. The hole they call Bruce's Castle, in the shadow of the lighthouse, the 9th at Turnberry, but the first of the best 18. 475 yards, with a tiny tee perched precariously on rocks over the sea. From there, Palmer and Jacklin face the huge carry over rocks and water on the left there. A carry of nearly 170 yards to the fairway, the line being just left of the old stone cairn in the middle. And then after that, they'll still have a long second over the lighthouse road to the green. No bunkers at all, and the outstanding feature, of course, is the tee. I'm sure you'll agree that this must be very intimidating for the ordinary club player.
Oh, most certainly. It's a day like today, the breeze is coming off the ocean. It's slightly helping us, if anything, but other days I've played it when it's been the opposite way around, and this ocean here, when it's been washing up on the stones down here, has been very difficult to clear and to carry. So it is a very intimidating hole for the club golfer and even for the professional at times.
The first drive, then, on these best 18 holes in Britain. Arnold Palmer, winner of the United States Open, British Open twice, the Masters 4 times. Strong wind behind and from his left. That looks a good one. And it is an absolute beauty to start with, right down the middle of this saddle-like fairway that tends to throw you off on either side. He's cut off all that he could, started with a perfect one. Now Tony Jacklin, the first British-based golfer for 50 years to win the American Open, and the first ever from this country to hold the British and United States Open Championships at the same time. I seem to pull that one round a bit from the fairway. We don't see it. Jacklin could be in trouble right away, down by the wall of the lighthouse keeper's garden. Now, he's hooked that right down at the bottom. He'll do very well to get up in two. He's lying none too badly, as a matter of fact, but of course at a distinct disadvantage. Palmer's ball the best part of 300 yards right up the middle. Jacklin's still about 200 yards from the pin and down in the dip. From there, he's got to hit it out of semi-rough, downwind. He takes, it looks like a 4-iron. Of course, this just goes to show what happens if you don't get the line right with this hole. The ground pushes it away down into the rough. That's a very good shot, I think. If it just run on a little bit more, it's dead straight, doesn't quite make the green. Now Palmer, after his immense drive, has to pitch up downwind. Difficult to get the distance right. That starts off straight for the flag. It comes up to the green. Oh, what a shot, look at that, for Palmer. Now, let's permit ourselves the luxury of seeing how he did that again. You'll notice how absolutely still he stands when he plays it in a wind which would blow most people off their feet. Now, Jacklin, rather hard pressed by that one of Palmer's, has a shot of perhaps 30 yards to the flag, and elects to do it with a putter. Go on now. Didn't quite sound right, that. Perhaps he'd have done better to make a little pitch and run out of it. Now he has still the best part of 14 or 15 feet to go. Mostly downhill. It made a better sound. Oh, what a shame. Well, that was a good putt. So that'll be a 5 for Jacklin. Hole par 4. And now, after that fantastic second shot, just a tap in for a birdie 3 for Palmer. Couldn't play a golf hole much better than that. Palmer birdies the first of the best 18, so straight away he leads by 2 shots. Palmer 1 under, Jacklin 1 over. Rain in the air, as well as a real Linksland wind, as Palmer and Jacklin drive towards North Berwick, 20-odd miles from Edinburgh, where the Firth of Forth meets the North Sea, full of golfing history. Used to be the holiday haunt of all society. Palmer and Jacklin today play North Berwick's most famous hole, the Redan, named, so it's said, after a fort the Highlanders stormed in the Crimean War. 195 yards, you thump up over a big ridge with 2 bunkers in it to a very deceptive plateau green, which has a huge bunker under its left flank, and more away to the right, is set rather bafflingly across the line of play and drops 4.5 feet from front to back. Palmer takes a 6-iron, 195 yards. Strong wind from the right. You'll hold it up to the right and let it run down. That's a magnificent shot. Considering it's blind, that really is. Jacklin takes 1 club bigger, a 5. Oh, and he seemed to hit that one beautifully. No, but like so many at this hole, it careers off down the slope, goes off the back of the green. Now he'll have to pitch back against the wind. Hundreds of people here just to see these 2 great champions play 1 par 3 hole. Jacklin has a pitch back of about 25 yards, I'd say, up the slope. He's played it very well. Jacklin was a boy of 10 when Palmer won his first big title. Palmer, still one of the greatest players in the world. Here, rather shorter than most of us thought, perhaps 30 feet. Downhill. And he gets a good hand for that one. Stone dead, and 3 for Palmer. And an awkward little one for Jacklin. But it's it. So they halve the Redan hole at North Berwick in 3. So, after 2 of the best 18 holes in Britain, Palmer still leads, 1 under par against Jacklin's 1 over. We come to a hole now that's often been called the greatest in the world, the 17th, or road hole at St Andrews. Of course, the old black sheds that you drove over at 17th, the first great feature of the hole, now they've gone. You remember them pretty well, though, Arnold, I'm sure.
I do, Henry. Yes, quite well. I've played over them many times. Although I think the obstacle is still there with the fences and the new hotel.
So now, outside, we see the hole as it is today. 466 yards, par 4. And you see what Arnold meant about the new hotel. Outside, they've erected a framework in the precise shape of the old sheds. So you drive blind over that, and you keep as far right as you dare for your second, because play is entirely ruled by the little road bunker eating into the green and guarding the flag on the left. And of course, behind and below the level of the green, the infamous road itself, still the mortal dread of everyone who plays here, even though it's perhaps lost some of its old-time terrors since they cleared it up a bit. Palmer, the line on the great church tower, or if you dare, a little right of it. This, I think it's fair to say, has never been a great hole for Palmer. Well, that one's dangerously right. Risking out of bounds, risking everything, in fact.
Huh?
Typical Palmer,
Perfect.
and he's all right. Provided the lie's all right, he's got an open shot to the green. Jacklin's one of many who believe the new hotel serves as a sort of windbreak, protecting your drive from a right-hand wind. That looks a very good one. It is, right down the middle. Good bit left of Palmer's. Very safe, but as always at St Andrews, it's the placing that counts, and while he's safe, he's got less of the green to play for. The flag today in its traditional championship position, right behind the road bunker. Now, Palmer, with that very risky tee shot, very risky indeed, has opened up the hole wonderfully and reckons to reach it with a 7. Lying all right, but this is the one they're all afraid of. Got to hold it up into a right-hand wind, mustn't go in the bunker, mustn't go on the road.
Oh, no!
And here he goes, right plumb bang into the road.
Go on the road?
And that's the whole point of the road hole. We shall see some fun here before we finish. Now, Jacklin hasn't got as much green to play for. If you go into the bunker, you can quite easily play out onto the road, and from the road, you can just as easily play back into the bunker.
Oh, dear.
And that's the conservative way of playing the hole. It is perfectly possible to chip or putt from there into the bunker. Although the bunker isn't on the line, it's got a shoulder which gathers the ball in. It's one of the most ignominious shots in golf that's been done by many distinguished people. Some would putt it, he's decided to pitch it, and it's about 35 yards. He must keep well right of the bunker, and then the ground and the wind will bring it round to the flag. Now, that should come round a bit to the left. And on the whole, that's a very, very good shot indeed. Leaves him just over 6 feet from the hole. Good chance of a 4. And now, here's Palmer. Traditional situation on the road hole. No man knows, even he, what'll happen. From here, over 100 years ago, Alan Robertson played probably the first really epic shot recorded in golf history, off the road, onto the green, and into the hole. It's a terribly difficult one for Palmer. Well, that's a very, very good shot, really, but the wind took it. You see, and he couldn't have any real control of what was going to happen. Palmer comes back from about 40 feet into the wind. And will fade to the right at the end of its run. It's a most terribly good putt from there. At any rate, he makes certain of his 5. And Very good chance for Jacklin to get one back here. Just over 6 feet, shiny green, plenty of wind blowing from his left. Oh, nearly blew him off to the right. Still, it's in for a par 4 and gets him a shot back. And there's the 5 for Palmer. And so the road hole beats him again. And now it's Jacklin one behind, Palmer even par, Jacklin one over, as we leave St Andrews for the moment and go to Prestwick, birthplace of the Open Championship, when this was the prize. Well, have you ever seen a bigger bunker than this? It's the historic Cardinal bunker at Prestwick, back on the coast of Ayrshire. And of these railway sleepers over here, or railway ties, as Arnold Palmer would call them in America, James Braid, in the Open of 1908, ricocheted twice running into the dreaded Pow Burn over there and took 8. And he still won the Open by 8 shots. Now, we felt that Palmer and Jacklin, whether they liked it or not, should be induced to play at least one hole great by traditional and amateur standards, if not by their own professional ones. In other words, one in which chance played a great part. And this is it, the Cardinal at Prestwick.
Oh, no, not too far there.
Now, here's the fairway they're carrying onto. 505 yards, par 5, and you drive short of the Cardinal. This vast double bunker, known sometimes as the Cardinal's Knob, legend insisting that centuries ago a Cardinal played a lord in these parts, the somewhat gruesome prize being the loser's nose. Anyway, you then turn half right and play blind over the Cardinal, over onto probably the bumpiest fairway in the world, full of huge humps and hollows, and with the burn intimidating you all along on the right. In today's gale and rain, 2 almost perfect tee shots. The Cardinal's 300-odd yards from the back tee, so doesn't come into play now, but we now see how His Holiness influences their second, completely blind and diagonally over that lot. If you're short, you're in the umps and hollows, slice it, and you're in the burn. Palmer to play first. Absolutely no hope of getting up, I'd say. Strong left-hand wind blowing towards the burn. Oh, that looked a bit right.
There you are.
And he's very nearly held it up. Enough, not quite. Finishes in the short rough, about 60 yards from the green. So you'll have an easy pitch in from there, possibly a chance of a 4. Jacklin has even more of a blind shot. You can only just see the top of the flag. Same problem as Palmer. Keep it up to the left. Don't let the wind get it. Ford hit it as hard as he can. And he's well past Palmer on the same line. And he's only about 30 yards from the flag, and Palmer 60. Lying in quite bristly grass, Palmer, for his third. High pitch, green in the valley. Just goes up the bank at the back of the green. He should get down in 2 from there. Little pitch of about 40 yards for Jacklin, but he can't run it because the hummocks are too steep. Well, I just said that, so he does. I still think he'd have done better to pitch it, but he's run it, and he's got a putt of 20 feet for a possible 4. So Palmer putts from about 25 feet. Down the hill. Pretty good putt from there, but still very missable, 2.5 to 3 feet past. Jacklin has what seems a fairly straight one, perhaps no more than 15 feet. Now, if he can hold this for a birdie 4, he'll square the match. No, I just didn't judge the line right, but it's pretty nearly dead. Very rare indeed to get a straight putt on these curious, undulating greens of old Prestwick. So Jacklin finishes out the Cardinal with a par 5. Familiar knock-kneed stance. And right in the middle, well done Palmer in the rain. And so they halve the Cardinal at Prestwick in a par 5. Palmer still leads as we leave historic Prestwick. Just down the line from here, the championship links of Troon. And at one of the holes at Troon, Arnold Palmer once said, "I could become obsessed with this hole." And that's the hole we're going to play next. It's actually beside the railway line, and it's called the Railway Hole. The 11th, or Railway Hole at Troon, has been called by Henry Cotton the toughest 480 yards of golf on earth, and it helped Arnold Palmer to win the British Open here in 1962. You really won the championship by your play at this hole, didn't you, which was almost unplayable at the time.
Well, I played it in, I believe, 3 4s and a 3,
Okay.
versus Jack Nicklaus playing it in an 8 and a 10 and a couple of 5s, I believe. It is quite a hole. It's rather narrow with gorse on both sides, and of course the railroad tracks running off on the right side, which is a threat on either your tee shot or your second, and particularly on your second shot.
Yes, it bends back towards the outer bounds wall for the second. The wall only about 4 yards from the green. And of course, on either shot, you can be in very tough gorse on the left. From the tee, you wonder where the fairway is. Carry over 200 yards of gorse, and we can't seem to escape this wind anywhere. Blowing like the devil from the left.
That's perfect.
And he's obviously satisfied with that, and there it is, right down the middle. Absolutely murderous hole, this, for the average club player.
That's perfect. You're even going to get up.
And there's another beautiful drive. Both today safely on the fairway, and it'll be Jacklin to play first. And here's a very good example of these humps and hollows of British seaside linksland golf. And you very often get an awkward lie, or an awkward stance rather, downwards or upwards. His is the one club golfer finds most difficult, stance facing downwards. He takes a 3-iron to allow for it. Very difficult shot. Kept it very low, but pushed it out a little bit, let it slip a bit towards the fence, rather the wall. But he's all right. He'll pitch up into the wind. And now we shall see from Palmer a rare and rather splendid shot. That is a really great player hitting the ball with a 1-iron. Got to keep away from the outer bounds wall, hold it up against the wind.
Oh, no.
Well, and there's a bit of luck for Palmer. Might well have bounced over and out of bounds. As it is, he seems to be all right. What we don't know yet is whether it bounced far enough off the wall for him to swing. Now, Jacklin, this little 50-yarder could play it in one of 2 ways. He can run it along or pitch it up. and he decides to pitch it up. Does it extremely well. And puts himself within range of a 4 at about 9 feet. Very good shot. Palmer from about 30 yards, just room to swing. That's a high pitch, a good bit too far. But it's got plenty of light on it. It's still on the green, but he could have hoped to do a little better than that from that distance. So Palmer has about a 30-footer from the back of the green. Somewhat under pressure now. I suspect there's a bit of right-hand borrow in this one. Bold try. And it did, in fact, run away a bit down to the left. Par 5 for Palmer. Tony Jacklin lining up with a good chance for birdie here. About 9 feet. Beautifully struck, and there it goes. Again. I said just the right thing. Beautiful putt by Jacklin. He gets a birdie 4. He gets even with Palmer and even with par. All square with 13 to play. To complete the first 6 of the best 18, we go back to where we started, to Turnberry. In World War II, they turned Turnberry into an airfield. Mackenzie Ross, the architect, miraculously turned it back into a golf course. Again, we play in the shadow of the lighthouse, but this time it's the short 15th. 220 yards, very exposed, and you either hold on the green or you're in trouble. A steep drop down on the right, and we'll let Arnold complete the picture.
This hole is well trapped. A lot of sand to the left, sloping from the left front to the center, and of course off to the right, a very sharp sloping bank down well off the green, and a very bad position to be in.
Today the wind is entirely behind. Jacklin has a 4-iron. Of course, the hazard in these conditions is the bunker at the back of the green behind the flag. Slow motion. You'll see how he keeps his head right back instead of going with it, as most of us do. Now, steady. And there it is, that's the hazard. That's the one they have to avoid. Anything bar being past the flag at this hole. Arnold Palmer takes a 5-iron. Now watch the characteristic tremendously high follow through. It's 35 feet short, the flag straight on the line. Jacklin has the straightforward explosion bunker shot out of loose sand from about 18 yards. Up into the wind. You can't expect anything very much better than that, can you? Beautifully done by Jacklin. Leaves him a yard and a few inches.
More good luck and good judgment there. I clicked the camera right at the top of that.
Let's see again how he played that really lovely shot. They say the way to play these is to try and play a poached egg without breaking it. And there's the glare for the man who clipped the camera. Palmer downwind from the reverse direction, about 35 feet. Didn't really hit it Very well. Didn't make the distance. So he finishes out, and that's a nice orthodox par 3 for Palmer. And this is a nasty little one for Jacklin, the kind that the Americans tend to call a character builder. And he's got to hold this one to stay level. Well done. Safely in, and they both have a par 3. They finish the first 6 of the best 18, both level par, despite all the wind and the rain. So it's absolutely level pegging between Arnold Palmer and Tony Jacklin after the first 6 holes. And plenty of excitement to come, I fancy, over the second 6. At Hoylake, they'll start with what has been described as the most claustrophobic opening hole in golf. Long, deceptively flat, and mercilessly exposed to the winds blowing in off the estuary of the Dee, headquarters of the Royal Liverpool Club, known irreverently as the Royal Out of Bounds. Hoylake's opening hole, 421 yards, par 4. On the left, the clubhouse putting green, out of bounds. To the right, the practice area, also out of bounds, bordered by the little grass bank, or cop, which forms the angle of the dogleg. You then turn sharp right, and your second is intimidated all the way along by that same bank. A unique hole in British or any other golf, and it's a complete right angle, and you can go out of bounds with almost every shot.
I think, personally, this is probably the most difficult starting hole in the world that I've ever played. What makes it even more difficult is that there's nothing there on the right of it but the practice ground. If there were trees there, one feels that you could avoid it better, but it is a very fine and very frightening hole for us professionals.
The out of bounds, I feel, is just as dangerous or more dangerous on the second shot with the wind coming across from right to left. For those of us who sometimes like to hook it from right to left, aim it just a little further right than we should on this hole. It could very well never come back to the green.
The view looking back towards the tee, the scene of innumerable disasters ever since Harry Varden began the 1902 Open by hitting 2 balls out of bounds. Now, Jacklin plays first. This hole is playing exactly right today, with the wind rather from the right as they play the tee shot. Therefore, they've got to hold it up towards the cop on the right, risking the out of bounds. And Jacklin's tee shot goes away over to the left. And I doubt if he can get up in 2. That, of course, is the whole point of this hole. If you shy away too much from the out of bounds, you have a very long second. Palmer. Really let fly at that one. And that's very much better. It's over on the left, opens up the hole. But if he could have risked being 30 yards to the right as he played it, he'd have had a very much shorter shot when he turns sharply to the right. Quite a long shot, this, and all through driving too safely or being blown by the wind too far left. The hole's only 421 yards, but Jacklin's got a wooden club for his second. This is the one they all fear. The out of bounds close in on the right. Go for the green, you've only got to be about 15 yards wrong and you're out of bounds. And there's a very fine shot indeed today. You can see the flag leaning over there, blown over by the wind from the left. So Palmer, with a superior drive, has the advantage, and he can reach it with an iron. He can also as easily go out of bounds. He's hooked it low and to the left. Among the excited crowd, Arnold Palmer just off the green on the left, and Jacklin on it. This is a little low pitch up for Palmer, about 30 yards. Bit of wind from his left. Well. Not bad for Palmer. Great delight of the assembled multitude here. Pity didn't go in. And anybody can see from that they have the same feelings towards him here as they do in his native land. They would, of course, much rather see Palmer miss the green in 2 and then very nearly hole his 3rd, than they would see him get on in 2 and take 2 putts. Now, after his really wonderful second shot, Jacklin has one from about 30 feet. Very strongly hit. A little less than it would have gone in. Bold putt, but he's still got 2 feet and a bit back. Not in yet. Well done, Jacklin. And that's 2 splendid par 4 at a hole at which almost every great man in golfing history has taken 6. Both still level par, and its next stop, Muirfield, on the east coast of Scotland. Muirfield, home of the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers, possibly the oldest club in golf, where Palmer and Jacklin will face one of the game's most difficult par 5. And there is the Archerfield wood on the far boundary of the course. You can see how windswept the trees are. The Archerfield wood features in Robert Louis Stevenson's great story, The Pavilion on the Links. And it lies immediately behind this 9th tee. Tony Jacklin, at the hole Gary Player once called the most difficult he played. The wall out of bounds on the left, the fairway narrowed to 19 yards by the bunkers and rough jutting in from the left.
Good shot.
He seems satisfied with that, bending straight down to pick the tee up. And in exactly the right line. Now Palmer, in the 1966 Open, even he took 6 here in at least 2 of the 4 rounds. And that's all right because of the prevailing wind. If there hadn't been that, he'd have gone into the bunker if he'd taken that line. Almost exactly 250 yards. Palmer can't shy too far away from the wall because there's a line of bunkers on the right and one in the middle. He's got to keep this one very low. That's boring through the wind, and it must be in the centre bunker. Oh, well, look, there is a slice of luck for Palmer. He misses all the bunkers, I know not how, and lies absolutely all right on a little hump between 3 of them. Jacklin, knees bent with the sloping stance, takes out his trusty 1-iron. Notice the straight left arm going back and the straight right arm going through. And right up beside Palmer's. Those are 2 very fine iron shots indeed, and it'll be Jacklin to play the 3rd first. Nevertheless, both in their various ways a shade fortunate to be there. This is Jacklin's 3rd shot. He'd normally be playing a high pitch shot with a wedge to this hole. Now he'll keep it lower than that. Hold it into the wind. Pitches beside the flag. Very good shot indeed by Jacklin. Same shot, old-fashioned push shot into the wind. What a beauty. It really is an exhibition of golf as it should be played. Jacklin has this one with the wind directly behind him, also I think slightly downhill. 12 feet or more. What a shame. Very nearly got that one. So there's a model par 5 for Jacklin. And now Palmer is for a birdie 4. Well done, Palmer. That's Palmer 4, Jacklin 5. You'd have to wait a long time to see that great hole better played. Palmer now 1 under par, Jacklin still even. Bleak, wind-swept Carnoustie. From this little Scottish town, over the years, more than 200 men emigrated as professionals to teach Americans how to play golf. 2 of them, Willie and Alex Smith, won the U.S. Championship. Another, Stuart Maiden, was the great teacher of Bobby Jones. The Carnoustie finish is notorious, and today 2 of its last 3 holes find a place in the best 18. First, the 16th, or Barry Burr, one of the toughest par 3s in Britain, 243 yards. This hole always seems to me rather too long for the average player to call it a short hole.
It really, I think, is one of the most difficult par 3s that I've ever seen. Today, of course, the wind is helping, but I recall during the Open here at Carnoustie hitting a driver into the wind on this hole.
Yes, that's rather what I was thinking. And of course, down the wind, you can't pitch on it, can you?
No,
Or you shoot over the back.
I have to pitch short, somewhere in the region of that sand bunker on the left, which is about 20 yards short of the green, and it's quite hard there in front of the green, so we're going to have to try and pitch it short there and let it just run up on the green.
And it's very liable, if you do pitch short, to be gathered into the bunkers on the right as well, isn't it? It tends to throw.
That's right. Well, the green is set up on a crown as well, which if you do go anywhere towards the left or the right, the ball will tend to sort of go off again. This is another added hazard, as you might say.
And if you pitch on, it goes over. So, broadly speaking, we've now proved it to be impossible. The hole is 243 yards long, and quite a little breeze has got up behind. Palmer takes a 3-iron. That's thrown away to the right, and it runs into a little grassy hollow, but not quite into the bunker. Jacklin, seeing Palmer rather short, takes a 2-iron. And it just bounces off the bank of the bunker on the left, rolls up just over the short edge of the green, leaving him quite a longish and very difficult putt.
I would just as soon have been in the sand trap here. I'd have had a little better angle to the flag and, of course, know a little bit more about how the ball was going to come out. Here, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen when I hit it. It may stop rather quickly or it may run.
Very well done indeed. He couldn't expect to get very much nearer than that. Jacklin shot from the other side By no means easy either, up over a hump. He'd like to chip it, of course, but the surface is really a bit too hard for comfort. Seemed to hit it very well. Aimed well over to the right, and I should have thought it would come in, but it didn't. Palmer first from 12 feet. Over a little ridge. Not an easy one. Very near, very good try, but it's a 4 for Palmer. Of course, on all these seaside courses, you've got to allow for the wind as well as the slope. Jacklin from 8 feet, almost the same line. Obvious chance, though, to get one back here. Well done. Fine putt by Jacklin. He gets one back. Jacklin 3, Palmer 4. So that's how they stand after 9 of the best 18. Carnoustie, like so many of our championship courses, is right beside the railway, and our next hole is quite near to it. It's the famous 17th, or island hole, 458 yards, par 4. The waters of the Berry burn coil and twist their way in and out of it, and the whole point is you have to drive onto a sort of island between the second and third crossings of the burn. You can quite easily drive into the burn, and if you do, you have to drop out and automatically lose a stroke. Then you're left with a long second to the green. It has a reputation for disaster and is one of the really great par 4s.
I think it's a very difficult hole to start with, and I must put it in the category of one of the great par 4s that I've ever played. I think it demands a very good tee shot, number one. It's a tee shot hole, I think. But then you must hit a long iron into the green, which is also very demanding.
This is the shot that lost Jurado of Argentina the 1931 Open. He needed par at the last 2 holes to win. Then he drove straight into the burn and took 6. Today, quite a sharp breeze against as Jacklin drives.
That's in the burn.
Okay. Coming up very near to the left-hand edge of the burn.
Stop. It stopped right on the very edge. Stop. I can just...
You have quite an awkward stance there. A little more left and he'd have been in it. Now, Palmer.
There's a good shot.
Yes. Perfect.
Ooh-wee.
And there is the absolutely perfect one, as far as he could afford to go, and exactly in the right line. Hole is 458 yards long, and so they'll still have appreciable seconds to reach it. Terribly difficult shot coming up for Jacklin. Rather shorter than Palmer, has a 4 wood. And it could be that he wouldn't reach the green even with that. Well, how wrong can one be? And there's one of the finest shots we shall see in this series. 40 feet away from well over 200 yards. Now, Palmer has a club of which he's very fond and which he uses absolutely wonderfully, but which most club golfers can't use at all. That's the 1 iron. And very low into the wind.
Now run.
Rushing up onto the green. Whether he meant to hit it as low as that, I wouldn't like to say. It's got quite a quick hook on it, and I think it ran almost half the distance that it covered. And after that villainous second shot, Palmer prepares to putt from about 40 feet. and wouldn't put it past him to hold it. That's the sort of thing that created his well-known army. People follow him to see things like that.
You're about the unluckiest player I ever saw.
For Palmer. Now Jacklin himself with just a little shorter one. Never quite going in. It's a very good putt all the same. Well, there's one flawless par 4 for Jacklin, and one possibly, shall we say, a little less flawless for Palmer. Both even par as they leave Carnoustie for the home of golf, St Andrews. Now we're on our way to another very famous long hole, what they call the Long Hole Inn, the 14th. Out of bounds all the way along the wall, and over on the left waiting for you, the deep bunkers known as the Beardies, and one or two more further on, and then a big open space you try and get onto called the Elysian Fields. And after that, it's a question of whether you can carry the big hell bunker or whether you play over to the left. And then you've got a very tricky little run-up to the green, which is on a plateau. Sometimes it's reachable in two, not often.
With this wind, the wind is blowing your ball away from the out of bounds, and it's not as difficult a shot as it certainly would be if the wind had been the opposite direction, blowing you over it. But it is the one hole, the one dangerous hole on the golf course, you feel, for as far as driving's concerned anyway. I think today probably we should get past the Beardies, and even if we're fortunate enough to hit good drives, we should get over hell bunker as well.
So here's the drive that's caused so many disasters. Without it, Bobby Jones might never have achieved his grand slam of the world's 4 major championships in 1930. In the British Amateur, he came here one down against the American George Voigt, and then Voigt drove over the wall. That was the breakthrough that Jones needed. Now Jacklin.
Lovely.
Palmer acclaims it as a fine shot. And there it is, miles down the middle. Now, it'll be worth having a go over hell bunker from there. In these conditions, of course, players of this caliber can go over the angle of the wall and come back with the wind onto the Elysian Fields. Now Palmer. He hit that one a tremendous crack.
Watch that hook.
Wind taking it a bit to the left, and it's down in a dip somewhere, dangerously near the Beardy bunkers. The Beardies, like so many bunkers on these seaside links, hardly visible from the tee. Palmer has done what so many people do at this hole, gone a bit too much to the left and down the bank, has been lucky enough to finish on the fairway of the long fifth coming back, but he's got a big hump in front of him. Completely blind. And he's headed the most tremendous crack down towards the left-hand side and misses little bunkers and actually finishes within a foot of the green. A real Palmer shot, that. Now Jacklin playing two from the middle of the fairway. Rolling up to the green, Will it stop? Yes. No. Yes. And it stopped just on the back of the green. It was a very fine shot indeed. He should get down in 2 more from there. Those are 2 really notable second shots at this long hole. Now, Palmer's got 35 to 40 yards to go, and there's quite a steep bank in front of him. I thought he might take a putter, but he's decided to pitch it. I shouldn't think that'll make it against the wind. 10 or 11 feet short for Palmer. We could have expected something a little nearer than that, I think, especially off that marvellous second shot. Jacklin's putt here must be at least 20 yards, straight up into the wind, a flat green. Hit it really hard, and he's overshot, but not by as much as Palmer was short. Palmer from about 11 feet, I'd say. Go on. No, the wind beat him both times. Five for Palmer. But here's a very, very tricky one indeed from about 8 feet for Jacklin. It's a very fast green, always, closely cut, and downwind. Good chance to get one back. And so he does. Well done indeed, Jacklin. So he gets a 4 at the long hole in at St Andrews against Palmer's 5. Jacklin now 1 under par, Palmer still even, as we return to Hoylake, where they'll play a hole that's caused almost more arguments than any par 3 I know, the famous or infamous Dowie. This short 7th hole at Hoylake, 193 yards long, one of the most controversial in British golf because of the target of only 11 yards wide where the flag is today. You're out of bounds over the little cop, as they call it, the little bank on the left. Many people say it's unfair at that range. And it's Jacklin first with a long iron. This hole was copied on the national links in America, and I still think it's a truly great one for great players. Before you come to it, you worry, and when you get to it, you wonder. Do you go for the flag and risk the out of bounds, or do you play safe to the right and risk the more difficult second? Oh, that might be dangerously near the bank. Leaves him just a little tiny chip in from just below the bank, but another 5 feet or so and he'd been out of bounds. Arnold Palmer, wind against and from their right.
Oh, going.
He's by the cop and runs back down the cop.
Nearly out of bounds there.
It'll be Palmer to play first. Jumped a bit, but it's a very, very good putt from there. Safely in par 3 for Palmer. Now this isn't going to be easy for Jacklin. For the second time today, he's got a very awkward stance, and his ball's very close to the cop, in the little trough which divides the cop and the green. He also elects to take a putter. Well, that's a little over-ambitious. Just under 30 feet when he started, and now It's over 3 still to go. Seems to me to be a dead straight putt. Well done for Jacklin. And a fine exhibition of how to play this controversial hole. 2 par 3. That's how they stand then, after 12 of the best 18 holes in Britain. Palmer even par, Jacklin 1 under. Royal Birkdale, at Southport on the Lancashire coast, some of the most marvellous natural golfing country in the world, where Arnold Palmer and Tony Jacklin set out on the final 6 holes of their match on what we call the best 18 on British links. This 6th at Birkdale, a very fine par 4 indeed. All great holes put a question in the player's mind, and here this is it. Can you carry the big ridge with the bunker running right across the fell? Incidentally, if you drive too far left, you can go into a ditch. Essential to get the right line here. In the 1946 British Amateur, Frank Stranahan took the exact line given by his caddy and finished in the ditch. He then sacked his caddy on the spot.
You missed it, Nick.
You missed it, didn't you?
Well, I don't know whether that's relieved the tension for Jacklin or merely heightened it. Looks as though he's going to have a go at carrying the bunker. There she goes, right over the top and miles up the middle. That's a marvellous shot. Must be about 280 yards. Like the P.G. Woodhouse character who never spared himself with his efforts to do the ball a violent injury. And there they are, side by side, 2 of the most marvellous drives you ever saw. Not a lot of wind today, so now they should get up easily enough with an iron. But the green has steep banks on either side, and if you miss it hole high, you can have a very awkward third. Pitch up and stop. And that's the perfect shot by Palmer. 35 feet past. And exactly the same problems for Tony Jacklin. This hole today, 440 yards, par 4. And a very fine one indeed by Jacklin. Has earned all the applause that it gets. I should put this one of Palmer's at nearer perhaps 40 feet than the 35 I mentioned when it landed. It's a bit downhill, probably left-hand borrow. It's coming round, but he's overhit it a bit, and he's got just the one you don't want coming back. Dead silence round the green on this sunny day at Southport. Jacklin tries for a birdie 3 from about 10 feet. Oh, there it goes. Right in the middle for Jacklin. Just like one of the innumerable ones like that, and a bit less, that he held to win the 1970 Open in America. And that one's made the hole look a lot smaller for Palmer. Oh, that's right in the middle, and well done. Great satisfaction to the crowd round the green here in the sandhills. Birdie 3 for Jacklin, par 4 for Palmer. So now, with 5 to play, Palmer remains level with par, but Jacklin goes to 2 under. Here's the second hole they'll play at Birkdale, the 15th, 536 yards, par 5. The first problem is clearly stated. You have to keep out of the 3 bunkers on the left. A whole rash of bunkers across the fairway for your second, then you pitch up to the green. 15 bunkers altogether. And one professional in the 1954 Open took 15 shots as well because he got into 5 of them. Wind nearly always against, and though it isn't the longest hole in championship golf, it plays as one of the longest. Now, Jacklin's already driven here. We rather think he may be in, or certainly very near, the second left-hand bunker, and we shall see. The drive here narrows the farther you get. And it's much too long a hole to start playing short. And there is the absolutely perfect one, but you can see how near it went to the edge of the bunker. That's the perfect drive by Palmer. Now, Jacklin did, in fact, reach the bunker. He's lying perfectly well in the middle of it, but this is a good example of the value of a true 3-shot hole, because he's got to move it on as far as he can in order to be sure of getting on in 3 and getting his par 5. And that's quite a good shot, but he's still got a long, long way into the wind to go, and if the wind had been stronger, as it usually is in this hole, the prevailing wind is dead against, then he'd have been hard pushed to it, get on with a wooden club. Palmer, with his better drive. I doubt whether he can reach the green. I may be wrong. Most people have trouble in carrying the bunkers for their second, but he doesn't. Goes a bit to the left, but won't anywhere near reach the green. And so there he is, with about a 50-60 yard pitch to the green, which he should have some sort of putt for a birdie, whereas Jacklin, as a result of being in the bunker, is well back, has a shot of upwards of 200 yards. Narrow opening to the green with bunkers waiting for him both sides, but flag well back on the middle. Now he hits full out with that iron, but immediately it begins to fade away to the right, and it's an honest-to-God high slice.
Right-hand side.
Pitches with a thump in the sand hills, not from far, as a matter of fact, from where I was standing. Palmer pitching up from about 60 yards. Pitches it right up onto the green, but it stops too well. Too good a shot in its way. Too well hit. He should have hit it harder if he's going to stop it like that. Now, Jacklin, 2 under par, could easily drop a shot here. He's got to play this 4th from a grassy upward bank. A bit lucky even then, because he could easily have been in the tough willow scrub, and far more difficult. But it is difficult when it's going to go so high to know how far it's going to run when it pitches. That's the only problem really here. About 25 yards from the hole. Green's absolutely beautiful here at Birkdale. Very well played. Now how far is he going to run? And there again, that deserves all the applause it gets. Beautiful shot by Tony Jacklin. 2.5 to 3 feet from the hole. For Palmer, a fairly straightforward one of about 30 feet. Sort of putt you don't very often get in the States, where they have huge rolling greens as a rule. Very neat. Just turned away at the last moment. Beautiful putt. That is, it's in. And Palmer has an absolutely straightforward model par 5. And Jacklin has this for a sort of get away with it par 5. Well done. And so they halve the hole in 2 different ways in a par 5. Palmer still even, Jacklin 2 under, as we return to St Andrews at a really great short hole. Trouble once begun here, Bernard Darwin once wrote, may never end until your card is torn into 1,000 fragments. The 11th, or high hole in, one of the outstanding short holes of the world. Guarding the green, on the left, the hill bunker, 10 feet deep, on the right, strap. The green slopes steeply up from the front, and down over the back, the bank of the River Eden.
It's a question of keeping it under this wind because it's a very exposed green also, this, and even if you hit the green, the ball can literally blow. The wind does literally affect the ball that much that it blows it offline on your putt, and so it's all not over when you get on the green.
Well, we shall see you hit, what, about at 4 iron through the wind?
Maybe a little more than that today.
Maybe a 3.
Been countless disasters here. Gene Sarrazin, defending the Open Championship, got in the hill bunker, took about 4 to get out, scored 7, and failed to tie by 1 stroke. 170 yards, about a 3 iron. Push it up to a tremendous left-hand wind, and that'll probably roll back off the green. And it does. Not enough. People have been known to take a putter off this tee when it's very hard and the wind's been behind. Now Palmer must play to the left, hoping the wind will bring it round.
In the water. Trap.
There's an absolute beauty. That's a very fine shot in this tremendous left-hand wind. There's always a good chance from down below this bank, from which almost everybody who plays here so often has to play, taking a putter. I see that Jacklin is doing so. That's very well judged indeed. Isn't in yet, but it's a very good shot, and he wouldn't have got any nearer with any other club in the bag, that's for sure. In the old days, Palmer might not have been able to stop the ball by the hole at all. Even now, he's only got to just set it in motion. They never used to water the greens, so they got very hard and shiny, and you could easily putt off the green from here. Not quite. There's nearly always a sharp slope for short putts on this green, unless they're directly below the hole. Safely in, the hole perfectly played by Palmer. 3 iron through the wind, 2 putts, par 3. Hardly 2 feet, this for Jacklin's par 3. Still, tricky little borrow. Steady. Well, that's easily done. I think there are more short putts missed on this green than any other at St Andrews. So they leave the 11th with Palmer a par 3 and Jacklin dropping 1. Palmer level par, Jacklin now only 1 under, 3 to play, and a next stop, Lytham. This pluck marks the spot from which it was played by the great Bobby Jones, one of the most notable shots in the whole history of the British Open. It was 1926. They were playing this as the 71st hole, and he was partnered with his compatriot Al Watrous, and they were level, and it was quite clear that one of them was going to win. And Jones hooked his tee shot somewhere just around where we are now. And he decided to go for the green. And what he saw was this as we look up there now. All of 170 yards, absolute wilderness of rough bunkers, bushes and low hills, all the way to a hard, unwatered green. And he still decided to go for it, and he hit a shot of 175 yards right onto the green. That won him the championship, and he did it with this club, which has hung in the clubhouse ever since, and it's called a mashie iron, and it has a hickory shaft, and that was one of the great shots of all time. Now the hole a little longer now with a special back tee than it was in Jones's day, but the characteristics exactly the same. It's a par 4. It's a good man that gets it, and it's a wonderful championship hole coming where it does. The 17th. The hole is 463 yards long, a pretty sharp dog leg from right to left, so the place for your drive is out on the right. And if you hook it into the angle of the dog leg, well, there's a whole rash of bunkers and broken ground, and you've got the devil of a shot to the green, if indeed you can get to it at all. Palmer's all right, a bit left, but on the fairway, but Jacklin finished in an old bunker that's now full of long, rough grass, a bit short of and opposite the Jones bunker on the far side. Now, he does the only thing he can do. He hacks it out and moves it forward. As a matter of fact, he's done as well as he possibly could. Moved it on the best part of 100 yards. Still, he'll have a shot right into the wind, but he'd be doing very well to get a putt for a 4 from there. Palmer has exactly the same shot as Bobby Jones, only about 30 yards further. Jones was in sand, of course, while Palmer's on the fairway. There it is, right onto the green. And what fun. That's a magnificent shot. Just like Jones's. Here's a shot of perhaps 150 yards for Jacklin. He leans over, it looks as if it might be sliced again. It is, but it doesn't reach the bunker. Not a terribly good shot, and he's got another 30 to 35 yards to go to pitch up and get down in 2 to get a 5. Palmer safely on in 2. Now, this is about 30 yards, and I was just going to say that it was a simple pitch and run when he takes out his putter. It's a very good firm rap. But it's about 7 feet away, and maybe he could have done better with a little pitch and run. Now, Palmer has one about 25 feet, perhaps a little over. There's always a good firm rap, but there's moisture on the green now, and it pulls up quite nicely. He has a chance of picking up 2 shots at this hole. Train going by in the background, and Jacklin must hold this, somehow squeeze it in. Well done indeed. Those putts are what they call, new to me, I must say, in the United States, character builders. So Jacklin's got his 5. Palmer has this for a par 4, and a very difficult one under the conditions. Oh, and that's as perfectly played as we shall be likely to see. Palmer 4, Jacklin 5. Both now even par with 2 to play. The first will be at Carnoustie, the 6th, 565 yards, par 5 of course, the longest hole on the course, and the second longest in British Championship golf. This very long hole is dominated, so far as the tee shot's concerned, by the bunkers in the middle. You have to choose which side you mean to go. The whole way along the left is out of bounds into a rifle range, and as you come towards the green, there's a small burn jutting out to catch quite a decent second. And what about this bunker in the middle of the fairway? It seems a bit rough. You drive one side or the other. It doesn't seem to be very much room. Which side do you go?
This is the bunker that Ben Hogan played left of this all week when he won his Open Championship here in 1953. But I'm going to go to the right of it.
Well, there's a rifle range all the way along the left, out of bounds. I reckon you want a rifle to get between that and the bunker.
You're right.
Fine. Well, we'll see where you fire yours. Now Palmer, aiming to the right of the bunkers, it's about 250 yards from the tee. We'll watch this one from the left of the bunkers. And he's in one, no he isn't, he's just missed it. That's a very fine, beautifully directed shot, just to the right. Exactly where he was aiming. Very narrow angle at 250 yards range.
Lovely.
That's away over where he said he didn't mean to go. Therefore, we assume that he hooked it, and he's certainly 30 yards short of Palmer and wide to the left. Palmer certainly both longer and straighter. Might just have a chance of reaching it in two, though I doubt it. The burn jutting out into the fairway makes another very narrow opening, and Jacklin plays a 1-iron for his second. And very satisfactorily indeed. Avoids the bunkers and keeps left of the burn. Palmer, with an advantage of at least 30 yards on the drive, may think it worthwhile going for it. In fact, he has a go with a 3-wood. But gone towards the outer bounds, won't get up with that one. And passes all the trouble, fairly near to the outer bounds, but never in danger of going out of bounds. And he keeps his 30-yard advantage. Palmer will have a third shot of no more than 100 yards coming in from the left, so his opponent has a bit of pressure on him here. Jacklin still has about 130 yards to go, and the flag is set right at the back of the green at its narrowest part, so this shot is no pushover. See if he's pushed it a bit. Everybody ducks, and in fact, he's missed the green on the right. Palmer has rather less than 100 yards to go. Much easier shot. Oh, there's another beauty. He's an absolute master at those shots. Jacklin could well drop a shot here. Just a little pitch, just under 20 yards. Standard shot, which he's played not very well. He should have pitched on the green. He pitched just on the short edge and he pulled it up. It'll be Jacklin to putt first, having played the odd. Oh, what a good putt. It's a great putt in the circumstances. And that saves a par 5 for Jacklin. This really is a true par 5. It's 565 yards long. Palmer will have this for birdie 4. It's a 5-footer. Goes absolutely straight in the hole. So Palmer gains 1 stroke with a birdie 4 against Jacklin's par 5. Palmer goes to 1 under, Jacklin even, with 1 to play. From a very long hole to the shortest in championship golf, the 8th or postage stamp at Troon. Only 125 yards from a high exposed tee down to a shelf-like green, 66 feet long and 36 wide. A huge sandhill on the left, bunkers all round, and different every time depending on the wind. What about today, Arnold?
The The wind is rather stiff, so it's going to play about 225, and it's a very small green.
This is a frightening looking little hole. It looks like 125 yards, as you said earlier, is usually a wedge or a 9-iron for us, but it's going to be more like a 4-iron today.
So the tiny green down below, and towering high above it, the tee right on top of the sandhills. Palmer, one ahead, one to play. Still, I know one man who took 15 here in an open. And in 1923, Walter Hagen went into the bunkers, took 5 and lost the championship by 1 stroke. Now look at that one. That's the old-fashioned push shot. There's the real old-fashioned shot. It shows he's got them all. Now that makes it terribly difficult for Jacklin. His only chance now, of course, is to get a putt for a 2 and for Palmer to take 3. Then they'd finish all square.
Oh, he's left. Terrible shot.
Way over to the left, may bounce off the bank. It doesn't now. He's got a devil shot off a complete downhanger on the bank and over bunker right in front of his nose and a bunker the other side, only a very narrow green which I paced out to be just under 12 yards at the level of the flag. Now, I should say that if he's going to attempt to go for the flag, Jacklin here is almost unplayable. He's no more than 15 yards from the flag. He'll do terribly well if he gets down in 4. Oh, will it hold? It does. That's a very, very fine shot indeed. Nevertheless, he'll be very hard-pressed to get his par 3, let alone get a shot back to finish all square. This one for Jacklin would be just over 20 feet, I'd say. Now, that's pushed out right from the start. The greens are fairly heavy and pulled up. And he has this for a 4 at the shortest of our par 3 holes. And so now Palmer, from 8 feet, has this to take 2 shots off Jacklin at this short hole. This for a birdie 2 and to win by 3 shots. No, he doesn't. Well, if this were an Open Championship today here, there wouldn't be many 2s at this hole, I can promise you. So, that's the final crunch. Arnold Palmer has won this match. He finishes 2 under par against Jacklin's 1 over. Quite outstanding. In all kinds of wind and weather, he scores 70 for what we call the best 18 holes in the British League. Let's recall just a few of the fine shots they've played. Palmer playing his 2nd shot to the 9th at Turnberry. His chip at the 1st at Hoylake. Jacklin's recovery at Birkdale's 15th. His birdie putt at Troon's 11th. And finally, as we've just seen, Palmer's decisive shot to the postage stamp.
Great shot.